Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and for this video I will be talking about my IT journey from the first job that I got in IT and what I did in that job, my job responsibilities, how much my salary was, and the skills that I learned. I would like to share this journey with you so you could also see how jumping from one job to another would get you more experience and make you earn more income. So if you're interested, please keep on watching, and if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to like and subscribe on my channel if you are into IT, tech, and unboxing videos. So without further ado, let's get started with this video. Okay, so I wrote down everything that I'm going to be talking about today because I don't want to miss anything that's really important on what I'm going to be talking about. So let's get started with my first job. So the first job that I got when I finished completing my certifications and my studies was called Complex System Analyst, and I worked for Marriott Hotels. So my starting rate was $20 an hour for that, and I think that's more than average for an entry level. At that time, I started around 5 years ago, and I thought I was gonna get less than that, but because they had me working at 3 different hotels, they paid me more because I would be transferring from one hotel to another. That's why my rate was higher than the average. At that time, I was really happy because I was only making like $15 an hour, and that's a huge bump to my salary, and also a plus that I will be working my first IT job. So I took the job right away to gain more experience because I didn't have any work experience related to IT at that time. So my job responsibilities were very entry level, and I was an assistant to the IT manager. So in every hotel there's an IT manager, and they also have like an assistant that's called an analyst, and the analyst does the dirty work for them, meaning the manager would do all the management configuration and admin, and we are doing the deployment and implementation of their plans. So the job was kind of easy because it's entry level and we are only assisting, and that includes installing software, password resets for users, and we did a lot of PC imaging and deploying, and that's how I learned how to image a PC using a network boot. So when I started there, it was in the middle of merger between Starwood and Marriott Hotels, if you are familiar. So that time Marriott wanted to upgrade all of the equipment into their standards and also the images, so we have to do all of the PCs in the hotels. We have to re-image them, so that's hundreds of PCs. So that's all I did during my stay there. And also we did printer replacement. They really wanted to upgrade all of the equipment, so we upgraded like more than 50 printers in the building as well, and I learned how to set up printers and print servers during that time. Also, since I was an assistant, I was tier 1 of user support, so that means I'm the first responder, and people would come to me when they have issues. So I've dealt with a lot of user issues too, and because of the merger, we also have to transfer the old Starwood domain, network domain, to the new Marriott domain. So we did also a lot of network configuration and switch configuration, which I was really happy to do because I completed CCNA training and I get to apply my knowledge and skills with CCNA. Okay, so basically that was most of what my job responsibilities entail, and now I'm going to talk about the skills that I learned. So for my first IT job, I learned a lot in the first year that I worked there. So I learned how to image PCs through Pixie boot, network boot. I didn't know how to do that before, and I learned almost all of the Windows administration on that job. I also learned Active Directory, which is a very useful skill to have because almost all IT jobs now require Active Directory knowledge and skills. So that's how I learned how to like reset password and move different accounts to different OU or folders or groups, add membership, and a lot of stuff. Also, aside from the technical skills that I learned there, I also learned one important skill, and that's customer service skill. So because IT tier 1 has to deal with a lot of user issues, that's how I learned how to talk to people, how to develop grace under pressure, because people would be so frustrated with their issues because it's stopping them from doing their job. So that's how, when you come in and help them with the issue. So I really learned how to be more patient with people, especially the non-technical people, and how to like explain things and simplify things for them, because not everyone understands the terminologies and not everyone understands how the computer works. So you really have to learn how to talk to people, because that's also huge part of the job. Another thing that I learned, which is also very important, is I learned how to call customer support and vendors, because there's a lot of, when you're in IT, there's a lot of issues that are related to third-party software that you don't directly manage. So you have to call for the vendor and customer support to help you resolve the issue. And that's where I learned how to communicate through phone calls. It's also a different skill and a very important skill to have, because you will be also doing that a lot when you're in the tech industry and IT as well. And I learned what to say, what to ask, and the very important thing that you have to take note when you're talking to vendors is always ask for the incident number or ticket number for future reference, because you might needing to be called them later on, and at least you have something to reference to make everything easier for them to just be able to help you quicker. And also don't forget to ask for the ETA, because you have to communicate to the users as well that if there's an issue, you already contacted customer support, and giving them an ETA will provide assurance for them, and they will be less frustrated because at least they know and see that you're working on the issue. Okay, now so let's move on to my second job in IT. And after my merit job, I found a job in financial tech, which I was so grateful for, because I also learned a lot. And the financial tech company made software for traders, brokers, and financial people. So my role was called IT support specialist, and there I was making $25 an hour, which was more than what I was getting paid in my first job. So I was happy about that. And my job responsibilities are quite similar to my first job, but I was doing more technical stuff in this job. So part of it is help desk, of course, resolving user issues, and also setting up equipment like imaging also, and asset management, putting equipment into the system, also Active Directory administration. And also in my second job, we were basically admin to everything. We were domain admins, and we were also admins to every system that the company has. So we also grant access requests to the users if they request for it. We also have to document new processes and troubleshooting. I did a lot of this too, because we are constantly doing projects and implementing new technology. So after the implementation, you have to document everything, how stuff works, and if something breaks, this is how you fix them. So we did a lot of that, and we used Confluence to write our documents. There's just additional responsibilities that I had on my second job that I didn't do in my first job, and one of them is managing virtual machines. So I learned how to deploy servers, manage servers in here, and also different VMs. And also we did a lot of networking as well. We did switch port configuration, like VLANs and all of that networking stuff. And we also did wireless AP management. And we also did a lot of projects here, more than what I did in my previous job. Okay, so let's talk about the skills that I learned, and there's so much technical skills that I learned in here. So in my second job, I learned ticketing system. We used ServiceNow and Jira. We really didn't have it in my first job, so that was my first experience with working with tickets. And we used VMware and Nutanix for our virtual machines. We do a lot in VMware and Nutanix. We deploy virtual machines. We deploy two kinds of machines. There are CentOS, which is a Linux distribution, and a Windows machine. So our users have the freedom to use what environment they want, and that's what we deploy for them. Next, I learned firewall. So we use Palo Alto for this, and IT doesn't really do a lot of like access lists because it's a network engineer's job, but we did PAN-OS upgrades and VPN client upgrades. We use Global Protect for our VPNs. So I learned some basic firewall stuff in there too. Also, I learned about Linux commands because we manage CentOS machines. So those are Linux machines, and I learned a lot of different commands on how to deploy virtual machines. And one command that is my favorite is last log command, and that just basically shows you who logged in last to the machine, and it's very useful for IT admin because you would know who broke the machine if it is broken. So yeah, that's one of my favorite Linux commands. Also, another skill that I learned is data center work. So I also help racking different networking equipment from switches, routers, and servers, and I also get to learn how to replace bad drives because we use NetApp for our backup, and I also learned NetApp commands. So we did some data center work there too. So in a span of 3 years, I learned so much of the technical skills that I needed to learn and more. So my current job now is with Disney, and my role is called Broadcast IT Associate, and I'm working for one of their broadcast media stations, and I get paid more than $40 an hour. But I'm getting paid more here, and I have more benefits and perks, and I'm happier here because so far for the past 8 months that I've been working here, there is no weekend work, there is no on-call where we get phone calls even if we get off from work. So I'm really happy with my work right now, and the job responsibilities is very much the same from my previous job from the financial tech company. It's just we're dealing with more projects now than user support. So I would say we're working on 70% more projects, and 30% user support. So I think the only difference is that because I work in a broadcast environment, we have systems that is very niche to broadcast that I didn't get to do in my first 2 jobs. So that's just the additional job responsibility that I have, but we really don't do anything. IT doesn't really do anything directly with broadcast. We just manage the equipment and the systems that the broadcast team needs. So as far as the skills that I am learning here, I'm learning more about infrastructure, systems infrastructure, like implementing projects, planning on how to do projects, and planning on how to improve our current processes here. So that is my IT journey. I only had 3 IT jobs so far in my IT career, and also I would like to share with you that in the tech world, you will be making more money if you hop into one company to another than getting promoted internally. That's what most of the people are doing, and I think it's okay. And also, if you have started your very first job in IT, try to really learn as much as you can, and if you see that there's no growth in that company, just try to move on to something else if you've learned enough, because in IT or in the tech industry, you have to constantly improve and constantly evolve and constantly learn stuff because technologies keeps on evolving. So that's about it. If you have any questions in my previous jobs, about my responsibilities, about the skills that I learned, please feel free to comment it down below. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching.